Even a man who is pure of heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. So yeah, hi, I'm JimClassic, and you are watching Geektober, and I saw The Wolfman for the first time. The Wolfman is a Paramount Pictures film from 1941 starring Lon Chaney, who, back in the day was the, quintessential Wolfman, and, well, maybe he still is the Wolfman, since there are, to the best of my knowledge, there aren't too many other Wolfman movies. I mean, yeah, there are a handful of others. Even one in 2010, which I don't even remember anything about, but yeah, The Wolfman. I had never seen it before. Something, I've kind of always just in the back of my mind, I always kept putting off, I'll watch it eventually, I'll watch it eventually, I'll watch it eventually. And then, last year I got this at Walmart, when they were doing this whole decorative, kind of fancy man kind of packaging. I don't know if it's fancy. Maybe I'm a little trashy, I don't know. But yeah, just this is, I guess, artsy kind of box. And I picked it up, never watched it, but I watched it now. And, it was okay. Now look, before all the movie fans, just swarm and attack me, I do like old black and white movies. I am a fan of some of the old classics. And there are things about the movie I liked. There are plenty of things about the movie I did enjoy. And there are things about it, I kind of felt was a bit of a letdown. But, I took a few notes, and I just want to, just run off a few things. I don't want to do an entire movie review. I just want to talk about a few things about The Wolfman. Okay, so I started off with what I did like about the movie. And I actually really liked Lon Chaney, our lead character. He played a guy named Larry Talbot. And I believe this story took place in Wales. And it's like Larry is like the wayward son. He comes home, I guess, from America after his brother's death. He goes home to his family's manor and meets up with his father again. And I'm assuming they have a kind of a strained relationship. I mean, the father definitely came off as a little bit stuffy, and it seems to be I guess he was the older brother. He went off and did his own thing. The younger brother stayed at home and I guess did whatever responsibilities were expected of him. He died, and then Larry comes home to Wales to just, I guess, assume his late brother's position, whatever I'm a little bit fuzzy on some of it, but I guess just to fulfill his brother's obligations. And anyway, that's it's a summary of the movie, not what I liked about it. What I liked about the movie, I actually really enjoyed Lon Chaney's performance. Right from the beginning, I kind of got the vibe I'm dealing with an unhinged person a little bit. And, this is even before he becomes a Wolfman. He just comes off as kind of a strange person. I guess in today's standards, he'd be a little bit more on the socially awkward side. And I kind of got that vibe a little bit. And I don't know if that was Lon Chaney. I don't know how much of that was supposed to be Larry's character or how much of it was Lon Chaney. Because I don't really know too many movies where he's been in. I don't know much about the man other than, he played the Wolfman. But I really did like how Larry was kind of an unhinged person. He just kind of gave off this vibe that he was just a little bit off. And that being said, tying into the next thing I liked about Lon Chaney was his facial expressions. I mean, the tense looking facial expressions, the weird cringy looks he would have on his face, kind of helped with that socially awkwardness, that weirdness that was going on with him, and so he just had a strange face. Like, I mean, he's not like an ugly man. I guess you could even say he was a good looking, handsome man, but he just had just some facial issues. Like, just like he would look tense, and he looked even more mad than you would think. I mean, this is the 1940s, so I mean, a lot of these movies, they had some pretty hammy acting. You know, you had to make up for it because, you know, you didn't really have great special effects back then. You only had good storytelling to go on for the most part. So a lot of those actors back then had to ham it up, and Lon Chaney hamming it up really worked for me for this movie, and his weird face helped even more. And also, like, I have to say, I think Lon Chaney was like the tallest man in the movie. Like, I mean, this guy was at Darth Vader type of proportions. Not only was he just weird, he was really, really tall. And I think that, I don't know, that's just, for me, that worked. I suppose me being tall and being socially awkward, maybe there's a little bit of a connection with me and Lon Chaney's character, I don't know. But, you know, I really liked how he was just like the tallest guy there, for the most part. And you could tell there's just something off with him the entire movie. That's kind of it for Lon Chaney. You know, let's move it on. I actually did enjoy the pacing of the film. A lot of these old movies did have good story pacing. They didn't jump right into the action right away. They didn't jump right into the horror right away. You at least got a little bit of time to kind of get to know the characters, enjoy them a little bit, and understand what makes them tick. That is great. That is wonderful. That is what you would want in a movie, you know? And I think this movie was like only 110 minutes? No, that can't be right. An hour and 10 minutes. This movie was only 70 minutes long. That's not long at all for a movie. But I did feel like it did take its time, at least for part of it, and I'm okay with that. You know, I really am. The third thing I really liked about the movie was Larry's transition to the Wolfman. Now, spoilers, Larry gets bitten and gets turned into the Wolfman, okay? This movie's been around for like 80 years, 70 years or something. But yeah, you know, when he turns into the Wolfman. I'm not gonna lie, at first, I didn't even realize what was going on. I didn't realize, oh, this is the moment. Because he had already been attacked. You know, I'm not gonna go into too much spoilers. He was already attacked, he was already bitten. He seemed a little bit more unhinged than he was previously, and he just starts kind of acting a little bit weirder than he was before. And at first, it didn't occur to me, oh, this is that moment he turns into the Wolfman. Like, I mean, I should have picked up on it. He's like looking at his arms, and you really don't see anything, but he's just looking at his arms, and he's looking at his feet, and then what they did was, you know, this is 1940s. Special effects were not that great. They kind of just time-lapsed his feet, making him hairier and hairier and hairier. And then, oh, okay, he's turned into the Wolfman. But you didn't actually, like, see it. It was very subtle at first. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that it was subtle. Because you didn't think it was happening now. And then all of a sudden it happened. So, and, you know, it's kind of funny, maybe it's just a little bit silly, but a little bit of props to Lon Chaney, because while he is the Wolfman, he's kind of just stepping on his tippy toes like a dog would, like he's not walking like a human. Though that also being said, his walk cycle was was kind of staggering a little bit too, maybe walking on those toes and with all that wolf makeup. So, I mean, I suppose instead of the Wolfman, he could have been confused as like the drunk man or something. But just something subtle, like he was really, I guess he was really trying to get into the part, and he was trying to walk like a wolf. He was hunched over a little bit, walking on his toes, and okay, A for effort, I guess. Even though, like I said, he did look, maybe he was a little bit drunk. I don't know. It was the 40s. I don't know what they did back then, but and the last thing I really liked about the movie is I thought it was overall atmospheric. A lot of these old movies, story development, they build up the character. A lot of insinuated stuff going on off camera. You see the fog, in the dark woods and everything, and everything's like, black on the sound stage, and you see the old trees and, like I said, the fog and all that stuff. And, it's kind of an atmospheric movie when you get to the Wolfman parts of the film. And, it was fun. It was fun. But those are all the things that I did enjoy about the movie. And, I'll move on to the things I wasn't a huge fan of. What I didn't like about the movie. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Okay. As I said earlier, I did enjoy Lon Chaney's performance, but there was a part of the movie, towards the beginning, before he was bitten, where Larry is, I suppose you could say, he was flirting with the love interest of the movie, Gwen. And their initial meeting, I'm a guy. It's not like this is an issue I really deal with normally. But even from a guy's point of view, Larry was totally giving off a creeper vibe. It's just the way he decided to introduce himself to Gwen and his mannerisms, and again, it's that weird factor that's going on with Lon Chaney as well. He was just like, it's just very awkward. And then there's one point he says something, and I'm like, oh, creeper alerts are just going right off in my mind. I'm like, oh my god, if this was 2018, she would have called the cops, she would have maced him or something. But this Lon Chaney just totally gives off a creeper vibe when Larry and Gwen are first interacting. It's awful. Very awkward. Made me feel a little uncomfortable. I'm like, this is not how you pick up women. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I mean, maybe this is how they did it in the 40s, but I don't know. It was awful. All right, it was just very uncomfortable. So, I guess the other thing I wasn't too thrilled about this movie, well, was the actual Wolfman himself. Now, I know that sounds kind of weird because the movie, is called The Wolfman. It's about a wolf man. And I felt a little let down by him, to be perfectly honest. And I know I just contradicted myself because I said, I like this walk cycle, but to see the Wolfman, when you actually finally get to see him, he's just like this well-groomed, with a perm kind of a look, and he's well-dressed, like buttoned up with his buttoned-up shirt, and it's like, this is supposed to be a feral beast, unholy killer who just like has a very neat and tidy fur face, and he's just well-dressed. I'm like, what? I mean, they couldn't have had a torn up shirt, had some buttons missing, had some patches of fur sticking all over him. I mean, hell, I have that, and I could be a better Wolfman, but it's just like, I just thought he was way too. The only thing it was, like, you saw the hairy hand, the hairy, well-groomed face, and like the hairy feet. All right, because he had no shoes on, but slacks. His shirt was tucked in and buttoned up to the neck, and it's like, This is our killer. This is our unholy monster. All right. I'm supposed to buy it. I'm supposed to accept this. I mean, they could have had more tattered up fur, something torn up, shredded up, something. Even for the 1940s, they could have done something a little bit better. I mean, I'm not saying it has to be up to today's standards, covered in blood and grotesque, but just a little bit more scruffy or wild looking. That line of a man who is pure of heart and says his prayers by night may become a wolf when the wolfbane blooms and the autumn moon is bright. I think they say that like 3 times throughout the movie. And Larry is apparently, or supposedly, from Wales. He's from that area. He grew up there. And yet, he doesn't understand how these villagers are superstitious about the Wolfman. He doesn't understand how the gypsies are superstitious about the Wolfman. Like, he seems very naive about this. And I was under the impression that this is where he grew up. Unless I missed something. It's entirely possible. Maybe his father moved there and they didn't grow up there. But I was under the impression he grew up in that castle, he left a long time ago and came back, and even if you're gone for 20 years, you still know the old legends, the old rumors, the old superstitions. So, I found that a little bit off. So, overall, I would have to say that the Wolfman was, well, kind of underwhelming. I mean, I realize to old school movie files and just lovers of classic horror, I'm speaking blasphemy. I get that. And, well, I mean, maybe this is coming from a 2018 perspective. I never grew up watching the original Wolfman. I mean, I've seen other related media regarding the Wolfman. I mean, I remember stuff on, like, documentaries about classic horror. I've seen other iterations of the Wolfman. An Abbott and Costello film with Frankenstein and Dracula, and I'm pretty sure the Wolfman was in there. I've seen that, and that's funny. That I grew up with as a kid, on VHS tapes, but not the original Wolfman. I didn't grow up with that. I never got scared by it. So maybe that could be the reason why I'm just feeling a little underwhelmed. I mean, I enjoyed it. I'll watch it again. But maybe this movie, the original Wolfman, is better to start off watching that movie when you're 8 instead of when you're 38. And then maybe it might, at least then I could say I've got my nostalgia goggles on and I could look at the movie through those nostalgia goggles, which I can't do that now, since I just watched it a couple of days ago. But, I mean, it's still worth checking out, I guess. If you want to just kind of expand your, cinematic movie horizons, I would still check out The Wolfman. It's not bad. It's harmless, It's not going to give you nightmares or anything like that. And, I am kind of fascinated by that lore. I do like that lore. I do like the idea of vampires and stuff like that, and the occult. I'm more of a Transformers fan and Star Wars fan, but I do like the occult. I'm fascinated by it a little bit. So it's a fun movie to check out. Anyway, now that I've talked about The Wolfman the movie, let's talk about this Wolfman from the 1986 The Real Ghostbusters Toy line. Now, really, this is a Wolfman I could sink my teeth into. So yeah, this flat-footed beast man is like the total opposite of the well-groomed, well-dressed, shirt tucked in Lon Chaney version. I mean, this guy is a true manimal. The Real Ghostbusters was a spin-off cartoon and toy line based on the 1984 Ghostbusters movie. That toy line expanded over the years from, the core Ghostbusters team, Ecto-1, the Firehouse, an array of really cool ghosts and original like spooks and specters. And the toy line lasted from 1986 to 1991. By the fifth wave of toys, Kenner had included their interpretations of the classic movie monsters. With the sculpted fur, hulking frame, and torn and tattered clothes, he is really quite the sight. Moving on to articulation, we have fully rotated shoulders that can, well, rotate. I mean, I suppose you could argue that the mouth opened and closed, a little bit of head bobbing, and we have, just back and forward legs. So it's very, very simple articulation. But this was 1986. That really is to be expected. However, like the later versions of the Real Ghostbusters toys, Wolfman here has an action feature. So you hold up the toy and you squeeze the left leg, and what happens is that we have a howling action figure. And right there, you see? And it just the upper arms and the head and the mouth close, and it's like a really cool action gimmick. How? Tilt. How? Hey, I can make my guy talk now. How? And I have to say, after I've had this toy for about 30 years, and it still holds up after all this time. I mean, really, that's just effing quality right there, man. I mean, that's how you know a toy is good, if it can still hold up after all this time. I mean, this thing is... Alright, I'm not going to push my luck, but, I gotta say, I gotta give props to this toy. It is quality. This is an awesome Wolfman. The sculpting on this toy is really freaking cool. I mean, it's all this really nice textured fur. You got the ripped clothing, you got the fur through the clothing. Even the tie is a little scuffed up. And the sculpting on the hands are so nice. I mean, it's the fur, you see the bones, you see the knuckles, you see everything. I mean, this is awesome stuff. Even the inside of the hands. I mean, Kenner did not skimp when it came to the finer details of this guy. I do have to say, though, I find the hands kind of weird. Like, it's not like your typical, claw hand. He's his fingers are all distorted and stuff. I would almost think that the Wolfman is, firing out force lightning or something. But anyway, keep moving down. You see the pants, with the wrinkles and everything, and more fur and, more textured detail. And I gotta say, this is awesome. This is a really cool depiction of the Wolfman. And dare I say, I think I like this Wolfman better than the original Wolfman. I know, I'm pissing off the purists, I know. And now, time for comparisons. Since we have the Real Ghostbusters Wolfman, let's do the Real Ghostbusters. Here is Winston, here is Peter, here is Spengler, and here's Ray Stantz. And just for the hell of it, here we have Beetlejuice. So as you can see, the Wolfman is definitely the tallest guy here in the room. And that is awesome. Much like the Lon Chaney version, he is the more nicely crafted toy compared to the Real Ghostbusters here, and yes, I would even say compared to Beetlejuice. So yeah, I mean that's it. This is what's going on here, And that pretty much concludes my review of the Wolfman and the Wolfman. I gotta say, where the movie kind of disappointed me a little bit, but still enjoyable, I like the toy a lot better than the movie. Maybe this is not a fair comparison, but I do think the Real Ghostbusters version makes a better Wolfman than the original Wolfman. And I know, it's blasphemy. I know. Deal with it. I'm JimClassic, and you have been watching Geektober.